We can't be in love with self or others without the risk of grief. And it's a reflection of what mattered. It tells us that something was important to us and we don't have it anymore. And the truth is that grief doesn't follow a script. There's some popular stages of grief, like, the 5 stages of grief model. And it can be helpful because it can normalize grief, and it can say, we all will fit into different parts of this at different times. But it was never, meant to be prescriptive. It was never meant to be like a one size fits all. And if you're grieving, then you're in this or this stage. That's not really how it works, because people don't move through stages in order because of the histories like I talked about, or their different emotional resilience, or their support systems. And some people skip different stages of grief entirely. I was once working with a patient, and he had a wife that was sick. And, he started grieving her well before she passed away. And, I remember him saying to me, "I don't understand why I'm not falling apart." And I said, "You've been dealing with losing her for a long time, because she, her death was imminent." And he thought something was wrong with him, that he wasn't, a huge mess. And I said, "You've been dealing with this little by little for quite some time." And so that helped him to better understand what was going on for him. And other people revisit different stages over and over, depending on what happens. I can think of an example of somebody that I know who lost a parent when she was really young. And so at different stages of her children's development, things would be activated because she would then be reminded of what she went through at the same age. And when we have this mirror of our offspring that says, "Oh my gosh, this is what life should look like if we didn't go through this really hard thing," and then we were not able to have had it that way, it's a big, huge, glaring reminder of what didn't get to happen. And so then it can kick up in us like, oh, there's this whole thing I haven't even revisited or seen related to my own grief. And so if you're going through something, you need to be thinking about the fact that grief is not a straight line. It's more of a spiral or a wave or a loop, and it doesn't really match for anybody else. We can't compare why is this person responding to this in a different way than I would. And there's physical reasons for the way we feel with grief. When we think about the brain, there's a grief and panic circuit, and there's a separation, distress in the system. The brain lights up, and it shows us that there's physiological difference in our bodies and brains when we are activated by that disconnection. It's panic. And so we're going to talk deeper about the brain. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp, he identified what we call the panic or grief system. And basically it's hardwired. It's the emotional circuit in our mammalian brain that activates when we experience separation from someone that we're bonded to. And this system is responsible for distress cries in infants and that ache of heartbreak, the deep yearning for someone, and that anguish we feel after their loss. And so when this system is activated, we can feel panic, we can feel protest, we can eventually feel despair. And it's not just emotional. So if you're judging yourself for acting a certain way or feeling a certain way for too long, this is a neurological function. This is not a decision. This is a biological aspect of being a human. And understanding this can help us to see that grief isn't weakness. It's biology. It's love trying to find its way home. It's us trying to sort the empty space that lives in our hearts. And what do we do with that empty space in a loss of someone or something that was so deeply important to us?